Welcome to Tortoise. We're trying to come to a better informed point of view, informed by you. And so we have one rule for these things, and it's no questions. We want to hear your experience. We want to hear your expertise. We want to hear what you think. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm almost worried to interrupt, given that people seem to be getting along famously. I hope you will be as lively and as raucous as we get into the conversation this evening.
I grew up also knowing about these allegations of Michael Jackson, but I saw songs like Thriller, Billie Jean, trying to do the moonwalk as totally separate to that.
My relationship is very different from that of my children, and I asked some of my colleagues as we were walking, because for them, they've always known him as a paedophile.
It might be a race issue. I know some people don't want to talk about it, but many of these people that, especially in light of the Me Too movement, that have been charged are black men. When you've got the likes of Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, yes, they've lost their jobs, but there's not been any criminal charges. So I'm quite skeptical with this witch hunt.
If nothing's changed since then aren't we just opening the door for more people to do the same?
He talks about this instability and the fact that he has been here for over 7 months. He doesn't have his parents anymore, but if he had them, he definitely would have told them not to come because it doesn't worth it. Also, it happens during the first few days that he was here that this disappointment hit him and he just wanted to commit suicide.
My lifestyle has always been extremely different from most of the male barristers' lifestyles.
In what way?
How I eat, how I live, how I spend, what I expect to earn. I went to Oxford, I practiced at the bar, it's quite traditional. I think a lot of people thought I had done a very low-class thing by becoming a single mother. And some people told me directly that I should have a termination.
Wow.
Because I wanted baby.
On National Public Radio, when I was a very young mum, when I was 23, I heard a woman say, "You can have it all, but not all at the same time."
Do you have it all?
I don't have it all, but I feel incredibly fortunate. I started Bumstead to try and change the fact that I saw these women who were successful in these worlds, which was the city and sports journalism, literally pretending their children didn't exist.
Is it better to date online versus offline? And that question is really difficult to answer because most of the data that we have is being produced by large companies who don't give scientists access to that data, so you can't verify what's actually happening.
The longer you spend on the app, the more likely you are to buy a premium service. They're all trying to make profit. They're listed on that.
I kind of wonder, if you think about dating, it's one of the only areas where if you give a really good service to your customers, they're going to leave you. And I kind of wonder if actually, are dating sites really trying to find us love? Because I'm sceptical.
For us, being able to be open about how you feel, and particularly, how you feel at work, but actually just how you feel, which might be nothing to do with work. It might be that you've developed a mental health problem, it might be that you're dealing with grief, it could be all sorts of things.
I use Lego a lot.
Right.
I get people to be able to just find third-party things that they can talk around that enables them to talk about what they're really feeling.
Judged on how long you spent at the office, how many coffees you've had with someone. People find ways of sort of bragging in ways that you didn't even think were possible, like, oh, I filled up 3 notebooks in 3 months.
And I do this often. If I ask everybody here just to take 2 deep breaths.
Let's do it.
Even in polluted, ultra-low emission zone of London that launched today, every second breath that we take does come from the ocean because it produces half of the oxygen that we breathe.
When we're trying to, discern which is the more important of all the dreadful things that we're doing to the ocean, all the bad stuff we're putting in and all the stuff we're taking out, it all kind of each problem informs the other problems.
Right.
And overfishing is over extraction. and habitat destruction is kind of at the heart of it.
We have a place in the Southern Ocean, the most remote place in the ocean, is called Point Nemo, thousands of miles from human life. You're there and our data reading had microplastics present, and you're thinking, oh my God, this problem is so much worse than we thought it was.
Even in the question that we're talking about today, this word sexuality or sexual relationships, I think this is a really important point. So if somebody says to a child in a primary school, oh, can I see your mum and dad later? Or use the phrase mum and dad, nobody infers a sexual relationship.
We don't believe that it's morally valid, but we equally understand that it is legally, it is a valid relationship to have. But when you're trying to force onto 4-year-old children that it's a morally acceptable sexual relationship to have, that's just outrageous.
You might be traditional conservative, I certainly am, and I'm sure Simon here, and there's many others who aren't traditional conservative. There are people who are forward-thinking, very liberal, progressive, very much of the here and now, and they want to make changes that are better for the next generation.
Familiar with these terms in a somewhat ironic sense without actually thinking they're great or particularly helpful terms to move our political conversation forward.
Actually, my impression is that it doesn't really exist. I mean, I talk to young people all the time. I'm a lecturer, so I obviously talk to my students about this. They generally say, yeah, they're our parents, we quite like them. You know, that's my nan, you know.
I'm studying for a Masters in Gender Studies, and sometimes just saying that will prompt people of my parents' generation to call me a snowflake.
My mum was in the music industry in the 80s when the Me Too thing came out. Because for so long she was a woman in a very male-dominated industry where you just kind of had to shut up, otherwise you didn't have a career. It took her a long time to process the fact that people were now getting to make these statements and what that meant, and that it wasn't, not that she's saying everybody's oversensitive, but that's like finally this is actually a thing that people can talk about.
It's often imagined that gammons cause offence, but snowflakes take too much offence, which therefore means we're kind of in an endless limbo of one person is causing offence which another person can't deal with,